This premise makes me think of really weird things, like what if you got a cold and you had to cough a lot, or if you had to sneeze, or if you ate some really bad food and you had the splatters. How are you gonna mask all that noise? Humans are noisy animals. It would just be a fucking nightmare.
What happened?
A bomb, I think.
Hey everybody, Lindsay here, and this is my review for A Quiet Place 2. Even quieter. A Quiet Place 2. I saw the first one when it came out. I rather enjoyed it. I didn't have a lot of issues with it. I thought it was a very tense and suspenseful horror film. Well constructed, well acted, well produced, well shot. If you want to check out my review of the first one, I will put the link down below, or I'll put a title card. I'll put it somewhere so you can find it. But let's talk about the sequel, Quiet Place 2. This was supposed to come out last year, but like every single movie that's coming out now, it was delayed due to COVID, but it finally opened up this weekend and I went and saw it last night. It picks up right where the last one ended, which I appreciated. The rough plot of the sequel is, now that John Krasinski is gone, spoilers for the first movie, now that John Krasinski is gone, his family cannot stay where they are, so they leave the farm that they were at and venture out to find out who is doing this fire signal up in the mountains, to try and find some help, find other people, find something, some semblance of civilization. And they find Cillian Murphy.
I don't know why he came all the way up here.
I really enjoyed this sequel. It had a ton of super intense moments. I was on the edge of my seat through a majority of it. It doesn't have any downtime. It's quick, it moves, it's only an hour and a half long, and it's structured very well. Once again, Emily Blunt does an exceptional job. I really appreciate in this film that they just let things be quiet. There's not an overabundance of dialogue. There's more dialogue in this one than there was in the first movie, just because we need to learn who Cillian Murphy is and what his story is and why he's there and what he's doing, and so they need to interact with each other. But they came up with some really interesting mechanisms and set pieces that we didn't see in the first film. The scope of these monsters arriving on Earth is broadened. We get to see other things besides the farm and the woods. We get to see a train station, a city, town. We just get to see more of the destruction and desolation that is going on in this universe. And we also get to see more of the emotional toll that it has taken on people, especially Cillian Murphy's character. We get to experience the loss and the mourning of people that didn't make it. So if you enjoyed the first one, I would highly recommend you go see the sequel. I would say they are on par with each other, if not this one being a little bit better. So go see it if you feel comfortable going to the theater. I'm lucky where I live in a less populated area, so if I go see a movie, it's not always going to be packed with people. When I went and saw it, I think there was maybe 7 other people in the theater and we were all pretty spaced out. Now let's talk about some spoilers, because there was a lot of cool stuff in this movie and there was a couple of things that were a little questionable, but I kind of gave a pass to, just because it's got plausible believability, you know, but there were a few issues where I was like, I don't know if that would work that way. The movie opens where you get to see the first day where the aliens arrive, and I thought that was a clever way to get John Krasinski back in the film for at least part of it. It's a super intense scene, and it just hits the ground running, really. And you get to see their life before everything went to shit. At least a little slice of it. The first thing in this movie that really made me jump was the bear trap. Holy shit, that really caught me off guard. I wasn't expecting that. Just, oh god, the pain and not being able to scream, like, oh god, it was just That was a great effect right there. Very edge of your seat. Another thing that I really enjoyed about this film is how it would swap back and forth between super intense things that were going on, because you had Emily Blunt when she went into town to get medicine and bandages and stuff for her son's ankle. It needed, antibiotics and antiseptic and bandages for, getting stuck in the bear trap. And then you have him, the son, back at the refinery or warehouse or wherever that place was. And he's trying to hide from the monster, and he gets locked into that concrete or steel chamber that they were hiding in, and they're running out of oxygen. And then you have Cillian Murphy's character and the daughter, and they're in the train or they're on the docks, and they get caught by the cannibals. That whole sequence had so much intensity in it. There were several times that they did that, where they would switch back and forth between the different characters and what was going on, and each one of them was going through such an intense moment. It was almost too much at times. I liked that they gave a nod to Jaws with the exploding oxygen tank. They give a little nod to T2 when the monster is chasing them in the car on the island, and it's slashing through the back at the daughter. That reminded me a lot of T2. I love that Djimon Hounsou popped up. You don't see him in a lot of stuff these days, so it was very nice to see him on screen. He did a great job too, for just the small role that he had. He had a lot of presence.
People had finally given up hope.
Now I'm gonna get to some of the stuff. There's only one or two things that didn't really make sense to me. It was hard for me to pin down the location of where they were, because in 2 days they were able to walk over the Appalachian Crest to the coast, because they're in upstate New York, and they're walking, and one of them is barefoot, and they're not going very fast. Tops, maybe you'd get about 20 miles a day at the very top. That's maxing out what you can do, maybe 20 miles a day. So they're 40 miles from the coast. Spatially it didn't quite make sense to me, but like I said, it wasn't a huge deal. The other thing is, okay, they get to this island, and it's been over a year since everything went to shit, but the power is still running, and they didn't show anything about generators or anything like that. That's just a nitpicky thing, but it did stand out a little to me. It's like, well, how does this island have power? Does it have its own power plant or generator, or what's going on with that? But like I said, it's suspension of disbelief. It didn't ruin the movie for me. It was just a little, I wonder how that's going on kind of moments. And they were able to expand and broaden their weapon against this animal, which is her cochlear implant that's not working. It makes that static frequency that fucks with their head and debilitates them, so you can kill them. Overall, I really enjoyed this movie. It's fast. It does not waste any time at all. You get a lot more character development. You get to see a lot more of this world. You get to see a lot more of why things are in the shape that they're in. It's really a solid sequel. I will put a disclaimer on this review, because I don't want to... I may be biased, or maybe subconsciously I just loved being in the back in the theater so much that whatever was up on the screen I would be enamored with. Maybe I was just elated at the experience of sitting in a dark movie theater again and having a very entertaining film up on the screen, and just being in that environment again made me love this movie as much as I did. So I will at least put that disclaimer on this review, that it could just be that, but I think it's a decent movie, and I think you should check it out. Well, that is gonna do it for this review of A Quiet Place 2. So until next time, this is Lindsay signing off. I will check you later.